2.5. Letting go and going crazy. So far, we've looked at finding our style references by exploring inside of MidJourney or finding external images we like the look of, but now let's have an experiment using images as a source that we don't expect to work for a book cover design, which at first, on the face of it, seems like a wrong thing to use and won't work. But before we run this experiment, there are two things I want to talk about. First, let's chat about how the style and the subject inform potential readers. When someone looks at a book cover, they always connect to the subject. So a werewolf is always a werewolf, and a reader expects a werewolf story. A romance couple is always a romance couple, and people expect a romance story. A female knight is always a knight, and we're always going to be saying this story is about a female knight. The subject will always inform what the story is about, and readers will always make that connection. So what's happening with the style? What does that say? Most authors that design their own book covers will say, it doesn't mean anything, or I don't know. But style can do a lot of the heavy lifting and says a lot. Firstly, it can inform readers of the tone of the book. A cartoon knight isn't the same as a moodily painted knight. They promise different emotional journeys. Secondly, they can tell a reader how much your book will be like or unlike everyone else's book. If you try to replicate the style everyone else does in your genre, you're saying to readers, my book is the same as everyone else's book, that there's nothing special here. Or if you pitch it somewhere in the middle, your style might say, I write unique books, a little different to everyone else, I'm worth investigating. Or at the extreme end of the scale, I write really crazy stuff. So to my mind, a book cover should really be somewhere in the middle of this scale when it comes to style, because people do judge a book by its cover. So these are decisions you need to make yourself. But put a female knight on a cover, and we know the book is about a female knight. So playing around with style references and remixing them is a fantastic way to find your correct emotional tone and also how much you want to catch a potential reader's eye, which to me is vital. In my experience as a book cover designer, if you try to completely fit in with everyone else, your book will be overlooked as just another similar book to everyone else. It's better to have a commercial advantage, your own style. And secondly, let's talk about art history. Yes, art history. Sorry, but bear with me. In the olden days, it would take years for aesthetic styles to be developed, copied, and remixed. Here's a really quick example of what I mean. Here is the first ever Cubist artwork. It was painted by Picasso in 1907 and was called Les Demoiselles d'Avignon. Other artists presumably liked his Cubist style reference and developed their own Cubist work. Here are some examples: Jean Metzinger's Tea Time from 1911, Juan Gris' Still Life from 1915, Leger's Three Women from 1921, and even a young Salvador Dali got in on the act with his Still Life in 1926. That's 19 years of people using Picasso's work as a style reference, which seems like a lifetime in today's fast-moving world. And I'm telling you this because artists have always taken other people's aesthetic styles and put their own spin on it. It's normal. As Picasso himself said, good artists copy, great artists steal. Which I interpret to mean if you want to make a good book cover, then find a good book cover style to copy. But if you want a truly great book cover, then steal a great aesthetic. I think if Picasso was alive today, his mind would be blown that we have tools where we can remix aesthetic ingredients and experiment so quickly. So he probably would have amended his quote and added, truly amazing artists remix. So just as a bit of fun, we're going to do what Picasso never could and see what happens with our female knight mixed with some style reference images that shouldn't work for a book cover, and see what comes out the other side. So let's go to our Create page, type female knight in a heroic pose, into the Create bar and drag our first 4 images into the Create bar too, whilst remembering to click on the paperclip icon on each image. Yes, I'm getting bored of saying that as much as you're bored of hearing that. Sorry. Let's hit enter and run that. You'll see MidJourney has tried to mix all 4 sets of aesthetics together in terms of coloring, in terms of the medium the original images were made in, and in terms of composition, and there's some very interesting stuff there. Or let's use that again and remove 2. Let's go for the 2 that are more yellow and more kinetic. And you'll see it's brought in those colors and the kinetic elements. Or how about the other 2, those with little bits of pink in there and our simpler images? So let's use the original 4 images, remove the 2 yellow ones and see what that gives us. Yep, simpler images with that lovely pink in there. They're stunning and unusual in their own way. And unusual is good. Unusual is what catches potential readers' eyes. Always run with unusual. But we might not like the pose she's in, so it's tip time again. If we like the style it has been created in, but we don't like the pose of the woman on the image, we can change that. We do that by mousing over the image that we like, and then we hit Very Strong. This will create variations on that image. And you'll see on the results of this Very Strong, we have the same elements present. It's the same sort of image, but we now have different poses to choose from. And just to let you know, on version 6.1 of MidJourney, Very Subtle is very subtle indeed, and I never use it. And these images seem rather way out there, maybe not like book covers you've seen before, but potential readers are going to know that our book is about a heroic female knight, so that function of the design is fulfilled. And what's the second function of good book cover design? Yes, that's right, to catch a potential reader's eye. These colors definitely fulfill that criteria. Let's try another set of 4 images. So let's click on Use again, delete the images and drag in the other 4, click on the 4 paperclips and hit enter to run. Not really liking these at all, so let's remove 2 and run it. Or use, remove the other 2 and run it. See, this method is very hit and miss, but it's a whole host of fun to play with. Let's try the last 4 images. Now with 2 of them. Or the other 2. Interesting, crazy results. On one hand, you'll generate a lot of things that are not suitable. But on the other hand, if you do stumble across something that you really like, it will be a replicable style, and more importantly, will be your very own style that no one else has. And you can use that style to form your author branding. Let me show you what I mean. We can drag our nice remixed style into the taskbar and type a male elf in a forest. Select the paperclip and hit enter. Or if our series or writing ambition takes an odd turn, a sports car in New York City. In both instances, it retains our style reference branding. So where can we get these interesting aesthetic ingredients to use? A good place is to go to the Explore page on a regular basis and save them to your likes. Another workflow tip from me is that when you find these, right-click on them and save them to your computer, and then upload them again to your uploaded gallery, as it makes it slightly easier to access them when experimenting. As someone that enjoys art and art galleries, I've actually been making my own style reference remixes, and also collecting images I've seen which I've liked for the whole of 2024. I have around 3,000 collected pictures sorted into themed folders, which I'll share with all the people on my monthly Smart subscription so that you can have your own copy. These will be posted sometime around Christmas 2024, so if you want lots of aesthetic materials to play with, go sign up for that. There is a link below this video. You'll also get lots of other benefits, which will include some of my more pro MidJourney tips and book cover design resources. So to recap this section, which admittedly has been a strange one, go look for things you don't think will be right, throw them into the mix, get messy, just see what comes out of the chaos. Because at the heart of all good book cover design is the visual hook, the intriguing element that makes potential readers stop and look at your book cover, pique interest, and make them want to investigate more. And by going a little crazy and experimenting, we can possibly achieve that with stunning color, interesting compositions, and strange dynamics, and it's so much fun. One thing you might have noticed as we experimented in this section, some of these images we made didn't turn out as we might have hoped. So in the final part of section 2, I'm going to explain what's happening with style referencing.